Vince, have you noticed anything, any best practices that you can share, for investors that are starting out or maybe doing, one or two deals per month? Like, what are some of the best practices that you've noticed, with that compared to investors that are doing 2 to 5 deals or 5+ deals per month? Kind of, if you've noticed any best practices for them that you can share, that they can apply in their business, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, just consistency. That is the biggest best practice. That it doesn't matter if you're starting with just a little, as long as you're consistent and just keep going and you're able to scale. There's a lot of investors that this isn't their full-time gig, right? And they're working W-2s, they own other businesses or whatever the case might be, and they're getting into it. And so just consistency marketing your business. And it doesn't have to be anything huge, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be direct mail. It doesn't always have to be online leads, just as long as you're consistent with what you're doing. Like, we have plenty of successful investors, which I'm sure you do, that the only thing they do is driving for dollars and door hangers,
Right.
Just because they're so niche, they're really going through their communities. And so the consistency of marketing yourself, but also that consistency of answering those leads. I don't know why any business would market themselves and then just sit back and say, if I can get to it, I'll get to it.
Right.
Which I talk to investors every single day that have lost deals simply because they're not answering their leads. And that's the whole reason why Ryan started the company, right? He was on a date with his wife, the phone rang, and he looked down to answer, and she's like, "Don't you dare." And he called back just a couple hours later and lost a $30,000 deal. And so that's going
to be one of the most expensive dates ever.
Yeah, for real. We make fun and we joke and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's serious for, for a lot of investors, what puts food on their table and pays their mortgage and things of that sort. So if it's a serious business for you, answering those calls, whether it's somebody like Call Porter or another live answering center, or your wife or your sister or a brother, or somebody needs to be answering those calls when you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. At the end of the day, every single marketing channel works if you do it long enough. Yep. It doesn't matter what it is. Every single channel works. Some are going to give you higher, ROI
return. Yeah.
Others. At the end of the day, every single marketing channel works without question if you stick with it long enough. And another thing I would say is, if you're going to invest time and money into any marketing channel, only do it if you have processes on the back end. If you're not going to be taking calls consistently, if you're not going to be following up, I would say don't even do it. You might get lucky in some campaign where you might get a deal, in just because you happen to pick up a call, somebody is super motivated, you go sign a contract, you make some 20,000-30,000 on it. But on the long-term basis, if you are not answering calls live, and if you're not following up on these calls, or not have follow-up processes, then I would say might as well not even start with the marketing processes, because you're just going to be wasting a lot of money, get frustrated, and not see the results just because you don't have the processes built in.